is when I first came to the UTC, a person who renamed nameless for the time being observed one of my lessons, and I feel like I'm a reasonably good teacher, and it came and observed my lesson, and it was a lovely rugby lesson in the sunshine. Everything went well, the kids were engaged and things like that. And I came to a bit of feedback, and he said, I'm just a bit concerned you didn't get any engineering into your lesson. Well, to which I don't know, you wanted me to get engineering into that, but I'll try next time. Now, for me, that was shoehorning something in. So when I kind of took over careers, I took over from a great guy called Ian Russell, and he started this journey with us. And if you look on the screen now, what you see is our employability skills. And these are kind of 8 employability skills that we use with, we've got together with different employers and kind of worked out what they want to see in their interviews. And what we've done is we've integrated them into our lessons, but also into our form time. And if you look to the right of it, that's Sims for those people who don't use it. Now, we use all our employability skills as reward points. So the students get employability skill reward points as opposed to kind of good, well done, you've done well with that. Now, what that does is it integrates kind of employability and careers into people's lessons without them even realising. We still ask them to integrate different bits of careers where we can, and I'll go on to that in a minute. But ultimately, our employability and careers program is run through these achievement points. So if a student's shown good leadership, they're told they're shown good leadership, they're explained why it's good leadership. Same with being reflective and resilient and ambitious. And they all nicely link into engineering, which is great. Now, what we do with that at the end of each term is they'll get a statement. And that statement is a personal statement which tells them how many reward points they've had in each employability skill. And they can kind of take that to employers, or they can use that to kind of create their own soft skill area. Now, it's not the most traditional way of getting careers into the curriculum. You know, most people come and say, we try and get this job in here, we try and get that job in there. What I want the students to leave here with is an X factor where they can go get a job. I'm absolutely desperate for them to turn up to an interview with loads and loads of examples of how they've been these 8 employability skills. And that's kind of how we get employment and careers into the curriculum. The other thing we do is if you can teach careers into a lesson, fantastic, and let me know. A lot of people are not great at letting you know, so you've got to go and try and hunt them down and say to them, how have you done it? Because they sometimes don't even realise they've done it. The next thing we do is a careers week. So each curriculum area will have a careers week. Now, that is really me being very kind of autonomous, if you very dictated, if you like, and saying this week you have to put some form of careers work into your lessons. Ultimately, the teachers are already doing it, and they just don't realise necessarily that they are doing it, and so it's quite easy for us to get that in. And we go through lesson plans with them. So I'll sit with them kind of the week before, and I'll say, right, what we're teaching next week, where we're looking to do it. For me, the kind of golden rule behind it and how we get so much employability and careers into our lessons is by not being prescriptive in terms of you must do it every week, you must do it every lesson. There must be a link to careers in every session you do, because it's just not possible. And I know Karen's going to go on to speak a little bit about kind of CPD and how she got it started. So I won't touch on that too much, but what I did kind of want to say is that it's about reminding people that students having a vision and students knowing what career they want to do in the future can really, really increase their kind of engagement in your lesson. As soon as a student gets an apprenticeship, as soon as a student realises they're applying for an apprenticeship and which one they want to do, they automatically switch on in the lesson. And it's really interesting to see, because from kind of December onwards in year 11, that's when they really understand it. And it takes that amount of time for them to kind of to drop in. In terms of these employability skills, what we try and do is we have an employability skill a week as well. Now, that is a very broad brush. Essentially, the students are told at the start of the week, this is resilience week, this is this week, this is that week, and that we try and have a focus on each one so that teachers are able to assign basically that week to can I show resilience in my lesson? Ultimately, I want them to have some fantastic examples of where they've done these employability skills in their lessons, so that they can go on into the job market, apply for jobs, and use these examples. In terms of kind of where else we go with it, there are loads of little tricks of getting people to do things you want them to do, and it's just about having that really open conversation with them and finding out, have you done it before? What are you doing next week? Can you link it to this? Can you link it to that? Even the kind of the more obscure industries and job industries, are you able to do it? And be a bit specific in their lessons as well. So a lot of our students come in, we ask, like, what do you want to do in your role in the future? And they automatically say, I want to be an engineer. Well, that's anything and everything. So we then try and break it down. You can break engineering down into all sorts, but then you can also break down mechanical engineering into even more little pieces. It's about letting them know what jobs there are in the future. I will just get rid of this. This is all interrelated, by the way, into Sims. So our data manager was able to put all this in for achievement points, and it works really, really well. Told you I wasn't very good at getting rid of the shared screen. There we go.
Thank you very much. It's disappeared now, Simon.
Good.
So thank you very much. So do you want to take questions now, Simon, if anyone's got any questions, or should we move on to Karen and then take questions at the end?
I don't mind, but we'll maybe move on to Karen and then we can just
do general.
Chat
so
it
Karen,
about generally.
Over to you, Karen. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We aim to deliver careers education as part of an effective personal development programme here at St Benedict's. And what we want to do is to make sure that the students have got a wide knowledge base so that they make informed choices in whatever it is that they want to do going forwards. We want to raise the people's aspirations. Quite often, a lot of them will come here and they want to do what their parents do. They're very heavily influenced by the parents and what's on offer in the local community. So we obviously want to inform them about that, but we want to inform them about, the wider world and what's available here in Cumbria and in the UK in general. So we believe, like Simon said before, if the pupils have got a clear goal and a clear pathway, then they're going to be improving things in school in terms of their attendance, in terms of their engagements in lessons, and in terms of the determination to succeed, and providing the heads of department and the teachers in the school with information about that and backing it up with evidence has all helped to get everybody on board to get behind the St Benedict's Careers and Personal Development Programme. So going back to the very beginning, I started off with an action plan, and me and my enterprise advisor have been to SLT meetings and we go together. Obviously, I'm a member of SLT, but by taking the enterprise advisor along, it just puts an external perspective on what it is that I'm trying to do and trying to achieve. And I think taking him along to the meetings for the items has, offered a lot of support and a weight to what I was trying to do. And what I did was got some CPD sessions assigned for staff. So I've had a couple of sessions. One was on using Unifrog, which we've introduced to the school. Another session was I brought Inspiring, and Deborah came in and we had some people from the business cluster, and they came in and talked about the shopping list and what was available there. And they just raised awareness to the members of staff in the school about what was available and what they could bring in support of lessons and the curriculum, as well as the pastoral programmes that we've got running. So I had news articles on the desks, things from the TES, things with evidence on. So when the staff walked into the room and when they were waiting, they had something to read that was putting ideas in front of them, before the speakers got up and started to speak. That, of course, led to questions and discussion, which was really powerful. I followed up on that by giving the heads of department a blank grid So the grid, it was literally year 7, year 8, year 9, 10, 11, sixth form, and then across it went over in autumn 1, autumn 2, spring 1, spring 2. So there was, 6 boxes for each year group. And I asked them to go away in that CPD time and to have a look at what they were delivering. And then went and popped a little link to an iCloud video, a Unifrog resource, something that linked a career to whatever it was they were teaching about. And that was just once per half term. Like Simon says before, you can't shoehorn everything into every lesson, but by providing the staff with the time and to ask them to tweak an existing resource rather than go and write something from scratch, we've got little QR codes or links that the teacher will hit if they're shown a PowerPoint, and then all of a sudden that will go through and the children will get a 1-minute video. If you're studying this topic in geography, it'll go through to a link to a job that you could do relating to that subject area. So it's just part of a starter, part of a plenary, something midway through a lesson, just something that engages the children and makes it relevant to that subject. So, I send out resources regularly to heads of department. If there's any webinars coming up, anything on Unifrog, anything that I see that's interesting, I try to encourage them to sign up to the Unifrog Gazette, and then they're getting weekly information and resources sent to them. And I then try to say in advance of a department meeting, could you, sign 5 minutes to talk to your staff about this resource, raise awareness, and make sure that most importantly, that the time is there for the staff to use it, because that's what they need, the time. And if you give them the time, they're always very professional, very willing, and they'll do that. So after the meeting time, heads of department have returned the resources, the grid, and what I've done is I've then put that into my careers plan as an appendix. So we've got one for every department, one for every year group. It's nothing in detail, it's just little bullet points. So I've got an overview of, what careers are getting shared with which year groups in which subjects at which time of the year. And the kids are getting a very broad diet, which of course ties up with the schemes of work that the children are studying at the time. Now, if you've got to persuade SLT that you need time, which obviously is very precious to all of us, go straight to Ofsted, have a look at the handbook, and you've got the personal development section, which is obviously a very big part of Ofsted. I know we don't do it for Ofsted, we're doing it for the children and the children's best interests. We'll mention Ofsted to SLT and they'll prick up their ears and take notice. You just have to start looking down the personal development descriptions and you can see, support and readiness for the next phase. And that's exactly where careers fit. Now, obviously, I'm a member on Facebook of various careers groups, and I'm sure many of you are too. And just looking in that group, you'll see people say, oh, I've got Ofsted coming tomorrow. Do you think I'm going to get seen? And everybody is saying, oh yes, I did get seen. The anecdotal evidence is the Ofsted inspectors are very interested in what's going on in schools in terms of personal development and careers. And the careers leads are getting, grilled, I suppose. So they're asking about the Baker Clause. They're asking about the quality of unbiased advice. They're asking about the quality of the meaningful opportunities to encounter the world of work. They're asking about the use of the Gatsby benchmarks. They're also looking on the website at the quality of the school's information on the careers provision. Now, in addition to that, if you look at the criteria, if you go down the good criteria, you've got your 8 or 9 bullet points that says what it is a good school looks like, and there's a specific reference to careers education in there, and that is perhaps a good point to take to your SLT. They're saying it's good practice. We need to spend the time on this, and just an hour and a half session after school can make a huge difference. Now, my head teacher is an Ofsted inspector, so I can often get little insight into what's going on in Ofsted world and what type of things they're focusing on. And personal development has become very, very big in Ofsted land. If you don't get good in personal development, it undermines other areas, and it can make a school requires improvement or special measures very quickly. So it is important that the SLT have got that overview and get it right. But when Ofsted inspectors come in, they want to know, is the careers programme ambitious? Are we promoting high aspirations? They are very heavily focused on the access by other providers. Are we given enough access and given the children that wide range of information about what else is out there in terms of alternative provision for them? The Gatsby benchmarks, they're asking detailed questions about them and how the school is performing against them. They are looking for evidence. They want to know what unbiased and information we're giving out and what the children know in terms of the world of work. They expect it to be very diverse. So they want to know, are children being supported with CVs and applications? And is work experience meaningful? And is it supported and complemented by other activities? So if we can reference those in our curriculum, and like I say, we do it through the subject, but we've also been developing drop-down days. In the past, we've been particularly dependent on delivering things through the curriculum, but we're going to be adding to our programme to make sure it's even more rigorous because of the changes in the personal development framework. Is that okay?
That's absolutely brilliant. Thank you very much, both of you. That's really helpful. And now is time for some questions. I know I've got a particular question, but does anyone from, because this isn't aimed at me, it's aimed at supporting your colleagues. So has anyone in the room got any questions for Karen or Simon?
I have, Becca. Just obviously I always come back to special needs because a lot of the focus is always sort of like in reference to mainstream settings, but have either of you had that experience, or do you know that there's a focus on careers through special needs as well as in mainstream settings as well?
Do either of you want to take the Karen? I think you were just about to start before I said who wants to take the question. So I'll let you answer, Karen.
Yeah, we've got quite a few children with special needs. So, you know, that is something that I'm looking at quite closely. And I've brought in workshops into the curriculum, you know, particularly aimed at the bridging group in Key Stage 3. If you talk to the business cluster in the past, before lockdown, we could get a programme called Animal Me. And I use quite a lot of the Twinkle resources. So alongside the careers programme, we've got, it's developing, a set of resources which are used with what we call our bridging groups. So they're getting the programme, but in a way that's more accessible. Our enterprise advisor is one of the business directors at Lakes College, and I'm hoping to spend some time with their careers department. And we have started talking about planning something with them that starts with our year 7s, and it'll help a lot of them who do go on to Lakes College from those groups with the transition.
Simon, have you got anything to add to that?
Yeah, just like just in a similar way to Karen, I mean, you've got to try and make it as specific as you can to the individual. And I think alongside what Karen was saying, what we try to do is allow access to different areas that possibly all students haven't had access previous. And we'll try and tailor it to the kind of needs that are available. I mean, an example that Karen just touched on there was introducing them to their next stage. I think that's really, really important, and something that is really is a successful thing for those particular students. You know, it might be taking them to Lakes College just as an example, if that's where they're going to do their next course, or it might be taking the time kind of early on in year 11 or even in year 10 to say, look, these are the future options that you possibly could do. What's your pathway? What do you want to achieve? And then showing them what they are so they can make that decision themselves, but then giving them the access to see what they are. I think work experience comes heavily into that as well. It's about letting them have the opportunities that everybody has to go to somewhere which is appropriate for them. I was talking to a lot of our girls within the college. They don't go on and do the jobs that I would expect them to go do with the grades and the kind of the oomph they have, and it irritates me because some of them are absolutely fantastic engineers, and it's a similar thing. It's giving them that self-confidence to say, no, you can apply for that job. It doesn't matter what it is. You just need to see what it's like first. I think it's just making it as accessible as possible, isn't it?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Any more questions at all? I can't see any coming up, but I do have a question. The Careers Hub team, we've actually had a sort of planning morning this morning, and Benchmark 4 is one of our priorities for providing support to schools going forward. So I was just thinking, from not necessarily just Simon and Karen, but generally speaking, what would you want us to do? So, for example, when I first started with the Careers Hub last year, a big plea was help us with labour market information, and we've kind of done that with various means, teaching resources. So thinking along the similar lines, if we were to do a project or something to help you achieve Benchmark 4, what would you like to see us doing, basically? Is there anything in particular? Anyone can answer. If you say nothing, then we'll just go on a holiday with the money instead.
I could think of something.
Go on then.
I would like little videos of talking heads of people who are local, maybe ex-pupils from different schools. I know that the access to the other providers' rules are changing. There was information came about that recently. But it would be nice to have little video clips as well, so that we're not necessarily always inviting people into school, but we can show them in tutor time and have resources there. So I'd like something on, T-levels. What would it look like if you went to Lakes College to study T-levels, and have the students talk about that. Simon could maybe produce a video, this is the UTC, and talk about a course there that's different. And, just 5 minutes, little video clips of different people in different situations telling us what it is that they do and how they got there.
Well, do you know what, Karen? And I think Catherine's probably going to come in and answer the same question. The Careers Hub, along with Hello Futures, have worked with the colleges just this year, and we're in the process of developing some of those videos, potentially a bit TikTok style, whatever that means. But I don't know if that is what you were going to say, Catherine, but generally the 4 colleges have been working together with ourselves and with Hello Futures to produce these videos, and it's definitely something that we'll continue working on and producing. They're around apprenticeships, T-levels, and linking them to the different roles that they're in. So as soon as they're being filmed at the moment, so they should be ready, fingers crossed, for the next academic year. But yeah, it's great that you said that, Karen, because I feel a bit chuffed now that we're actually doing something ahead of you asking. So that's great. So I'll there's Catherine wants to ask a question, and Pip also had a hand up. Oh, but it might have gone down, but I'll let Catherine and then Pip in.
Yeah, thank you. I was just going to kind of say what you said there, to be honest, but also I'm wondering if we could have maybe shared resources of some employers telling their career journeys, because it might help us kind of break the stereotyping element if you could get kind of people like inclusive people with disabilities that have gone on to do great things, or you breaking your traditional stereotypes of careers as well, because sometimes getting employers in to do that is really difficult, because everybody is asking for employers. So what I tend to find is the pool's quite small, and we all need the same thing. But I thought if we could have a resource of different employers and different career journeys and kind of overcoming adversity and breaking those stereotypes and raising aspirations, they're quite handy just to pull down on in personal development sessions. I don't know what everybody else thinks.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just going to say I've used and I can't even remember where I got it from now, but I found a really good resource online which I'd only found through the Careers Hub, and it was about the stereotypes of careers. It was sort of like an anonymous video for a florist and then a builder. And then obviously the students made predictions on what they thought they might look like, and then they sort of revealed themselves, and the florist was a male and the builder was a female, and that was really good. So like more of that type of resource would be really good. So I agree with Catherine on that, because that was one of the more successful career lessons, to put that point across over like the stereotypes and things.
Thank you, Becca. It's absolutely something we can consider, and Catherine, who's in the room with me at the minute, is now trying to find the resource that you're talking about, so we can possibly put it in the chat, but we'll send it out later if we don't find it in time. Pip, did you want to come in with a question or a suggestion?
I was going to say the same thing, short video clips of local employees and younger people, and breaking down some stereotypes, to be fair. Also, anything like easy kind of display stuff. So I've had a meeting with my head of maths today, and they want to do a maths display, and I've had a quick Google to find stuff, but if there's like if anybody's got any great ones that will make my life easier rather than starting from scratch, those sort of things. So it's just careers in the curriculum bang in their face for each department, really.
Yeah, that's great, Pip. We did share something on our LinkedIn post. There's a great maths resource linking careers to curriculum. So again, we'll Jo sat next to me as well, so we'll send that out. She said she'll send it to you, Pip.
Is that the My Path stuff? The My Path stuff is really good. Yeah. Maths, why bother? English, why bother? And then they're really good videos.
Yeah, and it was also a whole maths website with lots of different resources as well. One of the things that we are looking at doing next year is setting up an Our Future Young Ambassadors Club, which is I don't know if I've mentioned it before, but it is around engaging young people both in school and after school, so to support your alumni and that type of activity. But it's young people talking to young people, so that the people in your school can relate to people. So exactly what you were saying before, Karen, about they live just down the road from me, and if they can do that, I can do that, and that type of thing. So it's something that we're looking at setting up. So what we would ask of you is, if you've got any young people that have left your school that would be interested in being an ambassador for the Our Future programme, then please ask them to get in touch with us. Part of that programme will be around giving those young people the skills to come back into school and give presentations, and to relate back to young people, providing key information and that type of thing. What we're not going to be doing is duplicating. So we'll still be working in partnership with the apprenticeship ambassadors, the STEM ambassadors, but pulling them all together. So we've got a large network, so that schools can target these young people and invite them in to share the work, because we know that it's challenging getting the same employers in all the time. So that's something else that we'll be looking at. And I think, Becca, have you got your hand up again, or is it a legacy hand?
Yeah, no, it was just to say I found it on my planning. It was Budding Futures, tackling gender stereotypes, and there was like a lesson plan which I adapted. That's where I got that the video that I explained just before. It's Budding Futures. I think you're on mute, Kath.
As my team would love that, actually. But if there's any other suggestions, I mean, it seems that it's the videos, the resources, that sort of thing that will be most valuable to you. So any other suggestions, don't have to mention it today, but if you go away from this session and think about it, please do let us know. Any other questions for Karen and Simon while you've got them here? Thank you. I'm just going to add in the chat, because Catherine, my colleague, has just sent me an email now with the links in. So I'm just going to add those in the chat so that you can get them, fingers crossed. And if you also go, I don't know how many of you are familiar with our website, but please do use our website, because we are continually adding new resources. So if you go into our website and look under the different benchmark that you need, there are lots and lots of resources. So there's a couple of different links there, and Catherine's going to add the budding futures onto the website, and it'll be there for you tomorrow as well. So if there's no more questions, please do get in touch if you want us to do anything more on benchmark 4. But I really would like to thank Simon and Karen for doing this and sharing what's going on in your schools, and yeah, just being available to other career leads. We find it more helpful when career leads talk to career leads as opposed to us banging on about something. So that's really good, and thank you very much, and everyone have a lovely evening. So thank you, bye bye. I feel like I'm on BBC Children. Bye.
Thanks, bye.
Bye.
I couldn't see who was on. That's why I kept going like that, because I couldn't see the name.
Should be able to see it.
Yeah. On Teams.
Yeah.
The same one that come over down, you know. That's always the